Welcome to the Impatient Entrepreneur Podcast, a show where we hear from entrepreneurs and business owners who are chomping at the bit to make their mark on the world. I'm your host, Lauren Quidar-Cockrell. Now, let's hurry up and get to the good stuff. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are joined by Tommy Gucciardo, who is going to share his inspiring story with us. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. So you have a fascinating life story and that dovetails into your business trajectory. So we're going to get into all that, but let me just ask the first official question before we really dive in, which is, Tommy, are you an impatient entrepreneur?
Of course. Why would I not be on the show?
That's right.
An impatient entrepreneur. I am definitely impatient with a lot of things.
Yes, unheard. And you've got a couple irons in the fire. Tell us about your business that you have, or businesses, as the case may be.
Yeah, so the business that I have has a lot. It's the event business. It's a ticket business, much like StubHub, Vivid Seats. Some of the ones you might know of, TickPick, off the top, SeatGeek. I buy and sell tickets. I buy and sell tickets like almost like the stock market. I trade it like a commodity, but also I deal with retail clients. Like if you wanted to go to a game, you would come to me. If you wanted to go to a Broadway show near you, you would come to me. So I do that as well. And I also have an event platform where I do tailgating for all the Jet and Giant home games, and eventually we'll spin into everything else that's around MetLife Stadium through the year. So that will be spun into a full year business. So my business has a lot of different parts to it and a lot of different. So I wear a lot of hats on a daily basis, and some days, like the title of this podcast, I could be very impatient because I want one part to be better than the other, and the other part's slow. I want it to pick up, and then when that's too fast, I want it. So it's just the cost of owning a business is mind-boggling. People don't realize it. Like you wear every single hat. As much as you want to be the CEO, you want to be the CFO, the CMO, you wear every single hat. You even go down to the janitor, right? Like you're cleaning toilets and you lift the boxes. So, and I think that's what makes me more impatient because, like I'm doing so many different things and I want to get to a level where I could bring people in because just like most entrepreneurs, we think we have good ideas and we have good vision, right? And, we need people to support us at the end of the day to get us to that next level. And it takes a team to make things work. I realized that over time, it's easy to say that, you could do it all yourself, but you know what? Then all you'll do is work. And, I've always heard this, don't work for your business, let the business work for you. So, that's what I have to learn, and that's part of the impatience, but we'll get there over time. There were some good things along the way and some bad things along the way. I know we spoke about it, beforehand, and, it's not easy. My life hasn't been easy. It hasn't been, the path that I wanted it to go on, but it's the path that I'm on. Right.
Yeah.
And, we'll get into more of that as we go along, but, it's, life's a journey, just like business. Life's a journey. We just got to keep rolling with the punches.
And so, speaking of the business for a little bit, and I do want to dig into some more of your life journey, but how did you get into ticketing and events and tailgates? Like what drew you to that?
A couple of funny stories along the way with that also, I got into the ticket business because, part of my past, I got myself in a little trouble and I needed something to do. And a friend of mine was in the ticket industry and I was looking for something just to hang my hat and just to keep busy. And I started it and I liked it. And, some things happened along the way and I left that and I segued into some other things. And then I got in trouble again, but we can go on to all into this down the road. And then I found myself back in this industry. And, as much as I always wanted to be a worker and work for somebody, but I don't have that. Maybe it's not impatience. Maybe I don't want to listen to somebody. Maybe myself.
Defiance.
I don't know. Maybe I don't like authority. Who knows?
Rebel.
But, a little rebel there. But it's just something that I gravitated to. Nobody was bothering me. Nobody said, "Oh, because of your record, you can't do this and you can't do that." I don't want to jump around, but the reason why I came into that is because of that. Because I had a vision. I got incarcerated, and I had a vision when I came home what I wanted to do, and because I was incarcerated, all those doors closed on me.
Right.
And which is sad because I wanted to do something, and I had a vision of what I wanted to do, and everybody loved me, everybody wanted to hire me, but I was always working, putting my name for a corporation, and the general manager or the owner liked me, but the corporate, we can't have
HR is running a background check, and
and that kind of like got me a little not disgusted, but just like a little depressed and not really feeling good about myself. And the person that I was with in the ticket business a few years before, he just started his own place, and he says, "Listen, I need you." So somebody needed me, right? Like I felt wanted, like came there, and I worked like a dog. Like I worked 15, 16 hours a day, got some sweat equity, became partners, we built a business, and there was a lot of impatience there and a lot of bad decisions, I mean, like, cause we're two guys who are like street type guys that are running this multi-million-dollar business and not really understanding how to run a business. We know how to sell, we know how to do certain things, but the operation side, which we tried to keep under wrap, we couldn't. We just didn't know how to do it. And that's one of the reasons why I parted ways with him, because it was just, as a friend, I value him as a friend, and as a business partner, we were just bumping heads too much, and because maybe out of fear, maybe out of just anxiety or stress, or being involved in a monster of a business, we just were fighting all the time, or we weren't fighting, we weren't talking to each other. And I felt it was time that I have to go my separate ways, because like in any relationship, sometimes you just stay too long, you hold that person back and they hold you back.
Right.
And I had to go and start my own thing, and it was a little scary because I probably should have done it about a year or two ago. And it was always in the back of my mind, and I did it. And the impatience came in, but I'm going to segue back one more second, because when I left, I said I was under too much stress, under too much pressure. And then within 2 months, I put an extraordinary amount of pressure on my shoulders to do the tailgate and the event. And when I left there, I said, I'm not doing it anymore. It's crazy. I don't want to get involved. And 2 months later, here we are again. And I'm in the midst of a football season, not knowing what I'm doing, flying by the seat of my pants, losing money on events just because I think I have a great opportunity. And sometimes, you have to draw the line of, impatience, smartness, and reality. Like, is it really worth the time and effort? But I'm going to, go back one more step. When I first started the tailgate business, it was brought to us. We knew some people on Long Island that was doing it, right? And we would just have some people say, "Hey, we want a tailgate. We need a bus. We need a party." We'd give them 5 or 10 people a week. And all right, it was great. It started working. Then another guy in the business, he didn't want to do it anymore. So he says, "Do you want our business? Do you want my URL? Do you want this?"
Wow.
And we were like, all right. So we purchased it. We started it. We had some people that booked for the year. And I said to my partner, I said, "This is insanity. Like, this is stupid. It's never going to work." And here I am 7 years later trying to do this massive tailgate. So it started from like one guy on a grill with some beers under the bus to, we took something over to, I partnered up with some people that ran the tailgating business, and we kind of were unofficial partners, but I was bringing bodies to him and I was bringing buses to him. And, I became, one of his, like, I was the party. My people were the party. Like, if we had 300 people there, 250 were mine and 50 were his. Like, I was bringing people to the party. And, there's some rules and regulations that changed and kind of disheartened me on the whole thing.
Sure.
And when I left, I was like, it's too much stress. There's too much red tape. I'm not going to do it. And then I got approached by American Dream to do a tailgate party on their parking lot with all the support, with all the liquor licenses, with all the good stuff. And, I did it. But, I was like 3 months behind on my marketing. So like, I'm in the middle of like trying to do this huge tailgate because I was at the point where I was really just jockeying people there. I had my staff on the bus, bringing people there, coordinating there. So like, all right, yeah, I was involved on a Sunday or whenever the games were, but I wasn't like literally in the trenches before the tailgate starts. So now I'm 2 hours before the tailgate, making sure all the vendors are set up. I'm staying 2 hours after the tailgate. So now it becomes it's a full day. And, after the first one, I said, what am I doing? At first I cried. I was like, because I took a second and I was like, whether it made money, lost money, or maybe that was the first or last one. I had a vision and I made it come true,
Yeah.
And that was, to me, that was the home run, right? Because that's what we do. And listen, if it doesn't work after that, I had a vision, I tried something and I put my heart into it. And that's how I looked at it. And I remember calling my girl and I was like almost like with tears in my eyes, I was like, I did this, I was sitting behind it and I was watching all the people dancing and partying and drinking and eating. I was like, wow, that's me.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, for this business, yeah, it's fun trading. It's fun. I can make some money trading. The fun for me is when somebody tells me, thank you for making my day. Or like if I send them to him and his son to their first, football game or baseball game, that I'm part of that memory,
Yeah.
And that to me is the importance because listen, anybody can go to StubHub and buy a ticket.
Right.
Like you can go to StubHub, buy a ticket.
Yeah.
What happens when that ticket's not there? What happens when you have to call customer support and you wait on hold for 4 hours and you can't get into the game? Like, those are the things that I learned from my partner. He was very that's the one thing he was. If I give him anything, he made sure the customer got what they were supposed to get into the stadium and make sure that they were happy, and that's something that I learned from him. And I'll always do that. And I used to laugh at him. I used to be like, why are you doing all this? Like, you're crazy. They're big boys, they're adults, but now I see, because I was always on the operation side of it, really. I was never in the, the retail side. If I had a retail order, I would do it. I would send it to somebody else, let them handle it. But now, like, I'm walking people into venues. I'm dealing with the phone calls. Like, they're I need a different seat or I need this or whatever the case may be. And, so I'm just going to share a quick story. And, it was really, somebody was referred to me and they're like, my friend calls me, says, yeah, our friend's sister wants to go to the game tonight. And she doesn't know how to buy tickets. Could you get her tickets? So she called, I get the number and I call and I speak to the husband. I'm like, so you want to go to the game tonight? He's like, yeah. And come to find out, they're bringing, they have a cousin who is like 60 years old, who is, mentally, whatever. I don't even know what the proper terminology is anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to say anymore. But
I understand.
He was an older guy, and
trouble,
I said, I will do anything for you. They said they wanted to sit in these seats. I told them no. I said, these are the seats you want. They're better. They have a better view. They're the better price, so they're like, okay, thank you. And, they didn't know how to transfer the seats, and I'm going back and forth with them all day. Like, I have 20 other things on my plate, but I'm helping them, right? I'm helping them. And then I said, all right, well, why are you still on the phone with me? You should, when you get to the stadium tonight,
Yeah.
if you have any problems, this is where you should go, but just put them in your wallet, your Apple wallet, you'll be fine. She goes, I'm going tomorrow. I was like, oh my God. So I'm like, no problem. I'll take care of it. She's so upset. She was like, I'll pay for them. I'll pay. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. She sent me this big long text later. Thank you for being so like, so helpful today.
Yeah.
Thank you for understanding. I don't understand this. And, and you helped me. Thank you. We're not going to go, but if, it's just too much, and I don't want to bother you tomorrow, and I'll pay for the tickets for today. I said, absolutely not. You're going tomorrow, right? So, I was able to get the seats up for sale. We sold it. And if I didn't, I didn't care because it's not about that. Right? Because I know they were making an experience for somebody.
Right.
So the next day, I gave them a couple hours to call me. I called. They said, "Are you going tonight?" And they said, "No, I feel bad." I said, "I got you the same tickets. They're a few dollars more, because it was just the times and everything."
Sure.
And she's like, "Okay, no problem." She was so proud of herself that she got him into a wallet by herself. She sends me this big long text when she's there. I got here early. I found this spot. I didn't have to pay for parking. I feel so lucky today because of you. And like just all those things and all those little texts and, thank you so much. You made my cousin's day. He's so happy. Sent me pictures like that. That is why I do this.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right? That's why I do this. And it's like, that's the reason, because I made somebody's day. Right. And that's what it's about, right? That's what life's about. Just
good luck getting a hold of Ticketmaster.
That's what I said. I said, God, like if they made that mistake and they couldn't get there, like that whole thing was ruined, right? And it's great that Ticketmaster's there and it's great StubHub's there. It's a business. I get it, but they're not. And I don't mean to bash, but when you call them up, you're not getting somebody here. You're getting an overseas rep who you can't understand. They don't understand what you want.
If you get them at all.
Right. If you get them at all. Right. Because Ticketmaster, they say we're on a 4-hour delay getting back to you. I got something just finally back to me from 3 days ago.
Wow.
And that's me in the business, and I understand. So I just put it on the back burner. I figured it out myself anyway. But, it's just, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. I do it when I get the pictures of like, I had a whole bunch of people, they went to see Pitbull and they went to see, like they saw New Kids on the Block with, and these were older ladies that brought their kids to see like, this is what we liked. And I was part of that, like, so that for me, those are the moments. And when somebody tells me they had a bad time on the bus, like it breaks my heart. Like I don't care. You leave a negative review on Google, but it breaks my heart. Like I call you, like, what could I do to make it better? And that's what I want, because I don't want anybody to have a bad time.
Right. Well, these are, most people don't do this every single night. If they did, they'd have season tickets and they wouldn't be calling you. And so, it's like a vacation or something where, you want them to have this great experience or it's a milestone, like a family member who's getting to experience something for the first time or whatever. And so that's really, what an interesting value prop. Because I was curious, like, how are you competing? But that's, to be able to provide service like that is
so
really
I think it's the service most of all. And like, listen, I'll never compete. As much as my whole partner thinks he could compete against StubHub, you're never going to compete against them. Because just the money that they have and the marketing that they have and the marketing dollars. But you could touch enough people and give them that service. And the other thing too is that, you go into StubHub or, I don't want to pick on StubHub or Vivid or anything. I mean, they buy tickets from me, so I don't want to pick on them. But their thing is, you have a ticket, you want to buy a ticket, I have a ticket. They make money on me selling it. They make money on you buying it. They're a fulfillment agency. That's all they are. They're not ticket brokers. If you called one of their reps, hey, I'm thinking of sitting in section 12, row 5. What do you think? Like, what?
It's like you're a box office rep for these venues too.
Right. So, it's that's how we compete with them.
Sure.
It's just the service. And for me, I do some other areas of the business that make up for, when I don't do retail, that, I could run a good business,
That's very interesting. So I find that entrepreneurs are pretty universally self-taught in a lot of ways, and they're listening to books, or they're going to conferences, or listening to podcasts. It sounds like you've been especially self-taught. Have there been any books or anything like that have been really helpful to you as you've been on this entrepreneurial journey?
A couple of books that I used to be a big book guy, and then my attention span it's very tough.
Yeah.
I listen to Rob Dial a lot, the mindset mentor.
Okay.
I love him. He's really, really good. And book wise, I got to tell you, John Maxwell.
Yeah.
He has some great stuff in terms of like leadership and, business and it really and it's simple stuff. It's really simple stuff. And one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Sure.
So those are a couple of things that I do, and I'm not as maybe I have to get back to that. I'm not as good as that as I used to be. I used to take more pride in that, like reading a book or, listening to more podcasts, because I have so much going on. And sometimes you get sidetracked, and I go through like stretches where 2-3 months, like I wake up at the same time, I listen to a podcast, I read my book, I do this. And then, it's so easy to get distracted and then be off in left field somewhere for 2 months. And, I have to get back to that. And I think for an entrepreneur, and I think for anybody, it's just the, and I find for me, this works once I'm in a rhythm with something.
Yeah.
And once I'm conditioned to do the same, it might sound boring, but once you're conditioned to do the same things on the same day, your mind starts acting differently, and you start looking at stuff differently, and you start, acting differently. And that's the most important thing. I've always heard, lock yourself in a room for 90 days away from everybody. I mean, not a lot, but just like cut yourself off and focus on you and, don't go out drinking on a Saturday, be focused, have certain regimens and watch how things change. And I could see that, like I've done similar stuff to that, and I find the change. But as humans, we fall right back into the same trap.
Yeah.
Once we get out of that little routine, it's like, then you're in bad routines for a while.
Well, I mean, it's something like, being isolated for an extended period of time is not natural. So
no, I wasn't being isolated. I didn't mean isolated like that, but just lock yourself off from the world and take business-wise, put priorities in shape, be around people that mean something to you. Because a lot of times in life, you're around, especially in business, there's a lot of people that hang on you that aren't good for you and are toxic and a toxic energy. It's about being around the same people, the like-minded people, I think.
For sure.
And it doesn't have to be, just business oriented. I'm just saying like-minded people in general that, have the same kind of goals. Like, you don't want to be staying, if you're in a business and you're running a business and you got friends that are going out Monday through, Saturday through, I don't even know when the nights are anymore, probably every night, but they're going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, partying and not doing anything after that. That's not like-minded people. Like, you want to be able to get up the next day and work and do the right thing and put the next, try the next best thing. And that's what I'm talking about. Just putting yourself around the right people, don't alienate. You can't alienate yourself from somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some rule of 3 or 5 where it's like you're the average of your friends or something like that. And so if you surround yourself with people
I got some crazy friends,
people who are high achievers, whether they're staying at home and taking care of a family or they're owning a business or they're working and for somebody, but as long as you kind of have some similar values, that can support your personal growth and everything.
Right.
If we could talk about your incarceration for a moment.
I'm not afraid of that.
I just would like to get your consent. When you were incarcerated, did you have a vision for wanting to be an entrepreneur, or when you got out, were you thinking about moving in that direction?
I had the lucky experience of being incarcerated twice, right? I didn't learn my lesson the first time.
Got it. Sometimes we need to be told twice.
Yes, sometimes 3 times, but I didn't get there yet.
Okay, let's not. Yeah.
But for me, it's more than the incarceration. You know, it was my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was using drugs, I was drinking, I was, you know, not living to the best of my abilities. And, you know, I think, you know, it's funny because when you talk to a lot of addicts or a lot of people that are incarcerated, most of them are great. They're every one of them have entrepreneurial spirits or mindset.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not used properly. You know what I'm saying?
Focus over here, please.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to like justify anything. So, you know, or make it look better, but a lot of my mindset or my thinking process was always an entrepreneurial type thinking process. I just had to shift the way I was thinking, right? I had to use my mind and my what I'm here for in a positive direction instead of a negative direction, right? And yeah, so I always thought that there was entrepreneurial things that I was able to do. My problem is that I incorporated that with drugs and alcohol, and it clouded my mind.
Sure.
And I wasn't thinking correctly, and I'm living in a fantasy world that, you know, and a couple of things that I did, I'm not going to say were right or wrong, but they could have been changed if I thought correctly and if I wasn't using drugs behind them.
Sure.
In the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm okay. I'll fix this problem next week. Or this fairy godmother's going to come down and tap me on the shoulder and everything's going to be okay. And I believed my own BS.
Just living in an alternate reality.
Right. I was living in an alternate reality and I was delusional and I wasn't thinking correctly. Right. And those caused me to make bad decisions, which compounded into more bad decisions, which compounded into being incarcerated.
Sure.
So, you know, for me, yes, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me. You know, I always, like, even as a kid, like I used to figure out how to, you know, when we were on a Saturday night, at 16, used to figure out how to get the 18-year-olds or the 21-year-olds to buy us liquor. Like I would rustle up all the money so we could make sure that we are having a good time on a Saturday night. Like, so I always had that thought process in my mind, you know, and it just, you know, now I'm using it for good.
I have two beautiful young children, and especially our oldest, our daughter. Sometimes I look at her, I'm like, oh dear God, please use your powers for good.
Yeah, right. Like I look at my kids the same way. I'm like, listen, you're smart. You got some of dad's bad genes in you, but use them for good instead of bad. Yeah. And you know, and you know, you'll be okay, you know? And listen, like I said at the beginning, like, you know, I was segueing into like my life and everything. And, you know, I always get asked by people like, you know, would you do it all over again? And, you know, if I did it all over again, my two daughters wouldn't be here.
Right.
So, you know, those are blessings that I got along the way.
Right.
So I'm on a path to be on a path for a reason, right? Whether it, you know, maybe this is the rest of my life the way it is right now, or maybe I'm going to help somebody. Like I have that desire in me to help people and to get people to the next level. That's why I started a podcast and I've done some stuff. And, you know, for me, that's the ultimate goal of all this. Get the business finally, like, I see a vision now. And the vision is to get a business where I could build it, where I could bring in the right staff underneath me, where I'm not living in the business every day.
Right.
You know, I'm not living in, you know, buying and selling tickets every day. Maybe I have select clients. Maybe I just do certain events. Maybe I get the sponsors for the tailgates, and not in every aspect of the business. And then I have some more free time to do other things, whether it going out and like really telling my story, right? Telling how I started, where I was, how I got to where I was, and try to help. Like for me, I don't, not that I don't care about an adult, but I think it's more important that, and especially in this day and age, that we talk to the kids. Sure. Because I think kids have it totally tough right now. Like, I believe kids now are like, and it's funny because I look at my, you know, as my, you know, kids were growing up and how my parents talk to them. They'd be like, if they got, you know, they go out on a bike right now, they'll wrap them up in like helmets, this, hockey pads.
Yeah.
I still remember, going into this ditch in the back, falling off my bike, cracking my head,
Oh, God.
and like have blood dripping down my head and getting stitches and being back on the bike the next day with no helmet.
Oh, jeez.
Like if a kid had that now, they would be in bubble
Kid
wrap
take it away
walking.
from you. Yeah.
Right. So like, and not to say that, my life is better than their life or your life's better than it. Just, I think kids are on the wrong path now. I don't think that there is, like, I drank out of a garden hose. You tell somebody to drink out of a garden hose right now, they'll be, how many diseases are there?
It's the best
Come
water.
on, really? Really?
It's the best water on a hot summer day.
Right, exactly. They don't know what they're missing.
Yeah.
So like, listen, I get it. We have the internet now. We have social media now. So it's easy for these things to fall, to Google something and find out every wrong thing about something.
Right.
So
a little too connected sometimes, for sure.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not, and I think that's where it's important, because I see even their social behaviors on how they're talking. They can't even talk to people.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Like I tell kids, go get on the phone, go outside and play. They look at you like you're crazy.
Exactly. Okay, let's switch gears for a second.
Okay.
So you kind of alluded to it, but maybe you can go in a little more depth of what you've taken from this. But in your business life, what's something that happened and you felt like, oh my God, we are not going to survive this, and you felt like the rug totally got pulled out from underneath you, but it turned out to be the best thing that could have happened to you?
I think I had another answer for this at one point, but
well, whatever strikes you now, you just have to have that second piece of it.
yeah, I think there is, I was going to say when COVID happened and we survived COVID, and
yeah, sure.
because not that it was the best thing that happened, but I think it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff.
Sure.
I think, I saw how fragile my business is.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were some businesses that survived during COVID, right?
Uh-huh.
There's some stuff that you got to remember. I'm in the event business,
right? And no events.
No events.
Especially in your area. Where it's just dense population, so it's not like you have a lot of room to spread out or anything.
So and it was the unwinding of so many transactions, and I think that was, I think. In hindsight, that was the best thing that ever happened for our business, but we didn't use it to the best of our abilities.
Gotcha.
Because it should have been a clean reset for us,
right?
And we didn't reset correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, but it did open my eyes to how quick a business can change and how quick you could lose things. So I think in one hand, it was a negative thing, but one hand is a positive thing.
Sure. I mean, it's interesting because we're a PR firm, and I get asked all the time, what's your niche? What's your niche? What's your niche? And I mean,
Right.
it kind of scares me sometimes to niche too hard, because, if I'm a PR firm just for event companies, guess what?
Right. Yeah, I know. I always hear that word,
you know?
like you have to deal with a niche. And you know what? And I agree with that to an extent, but
Sure.
it's also good to not have multiple niches, but have, sometimes niches, they wrap into one another,
Right.
and they might be similar, but different at the same time, and then I always hear that you have to know your customer, right? My customer, I don't even know what my customer is, right? Because my customer could be an 80-year-old, lady who's just going to her first Broadway show with her grandson, or it could be a kid who just. So I don't have a 100% demographic,
Right.
25 to 35 male making 20,000.
yeah. It's interesting, and we have niched down a little bit, but yeah, it's also just kind of being curious people too. I want to serve a lot of people. But anyway, enough about me. So when you were growing up, falling off of bikes and drinking out of water hoses, was there something about you, and you kind of alluded to this also, but
I'm probably going to change that also, but God.
where you were maybe people told you to your face that this was a weakness, or you just perceived it based on how people acted around you? But there's like a personality part of you that people are like, man, Tommy, like you're way too rebellious or something like that. But now as an adult and as a business owner, you realize it's not a weakness, it's actually your superpower.
You see, I was thinking about this, and I'm weird. I change my I change my thought patterns a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not that it's a bad thing. Like, when people ask me questions,
Mm-hmm.
I might think one thing this whole time, and then it opens my thinking up.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think one of my weaknesses, maybe I'm not answering the question correctly, but I think people take my kindness for weakness.
Okay.
And I really think that, I have two personalities.
Mm-hmm.
People look at me and they say, oh, look at this Italian monster, right? They think of me like this big, and I don't want to use the word, but I get stereotyped a lot.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And, no matter how much I try not to, like I go wear like a preppy shirt, or they always stereotype me. Right.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. But once you know me, I'm a really good guy. Like I am approachable, right? Even though I try not to be approachable, I am approachable. But I think when people get close to me, they take my kindness for weakness, because I want people to do well. I always want people to be happy. I always want people to do well, but they take that as a weakness, and they don't realize that, it's hurtful, So I think that's but I think one of my superpowers is, at the end of the day, I listen. I listen, and I still listen today. And I might not give you the best advice after the fact, but if you have a problem, you want to come talk to me, and I might not give you the answers that you want, because that's the other thing. I have my own opinions, but I will listen to you, and then we'll understand where you're at. And sometimes I'm brutally raw with people. So I think my superpower is listening, because I always have people. I've always had people over the years that just confided in me and came to me and talked to me, and I think that's one of my superpowers.
Okay, I love it. So what's one piece of advice you can give our listeners to make their lives or businesses stronger and better today?
Don't do it.
Just in general.
Right, just don't do it. No, I'm just trying to be make it light.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. And sometimes that is, over the years, sometimes I've looked back at certain things that I've done, and sometimes I said, boy, it's better to be the number one producer at a company than own the company.
Sometimes.
But in all reality and all candor, it can't be done by yourself. No matter how much you want to do stuff by yourself. And I think I started talking about this at the beginning.
Sure.
I think it's really, really important that you get good people around you. And don't expect them to do what you do. Because nobody's going to do what you do. Because that's another thing that I've learned I've put such high expectations on people that, and they're loyal people and they're good people. And I put so much high, and when they don't understand or they let you down, it really hurts.
Right. Yeah.
So I've learned that you have to get good people around you. Don't put high expectations on. You want them to succeed. Don't get me wrong. And they want to, but don't put them on a pedestal like they're your saviors. You're going to take care of your business. They're going to.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Just put them that they're there, right? And if it happens, it happens, right? But you just put good people around you, and don't be afraid to delegate.
Right. Delegate, but delegate, but you're the boss of your business, so don't.
No, don't give away the farm. Yeah. No, but you have to delegate certain things, right? Like,
for sure.
I can't be sweeping the floor when I'm supposed to be in a meeting trying to close a deal. Like, that shouldn't be. You should know that somebody else is capable of sweeping, right? Somebody's capable of sending out an invoice. Somebody's capable of, speaking to a client. And if they don't speak to them correctly, you'll know how to fix it, right? Like, you can't, because I make mistakes. I have a team that I was dealing with, And, I've been on them. I've been like, because they've been making some little mistakes. And I had to tell them today that on Monday, I made 4 mistakes. 2 were because of them. And then 2 was because I was frustrated about them, that I wasn't paying attention. I made 2 more mistakes.
Yeah.
So 4 mistakes happened. Like I didn't have to tell them that.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But I wanted them to know, even as an owner and as a boss, I make mistakes.
Sure.
And it's how you fix them. So I realized that I had to stop for the day.
Yeah.
Like because I was overworked, I was overwhelmed.
Law of diminishing returns now.
Yeah, now I'm buying extra inventory, or I made a mistake on something that cost me money. So, it's owning up to your mistakes, delegate properly, and put good people in your corner.
Great.
And that to me that's the key to success.
Great advice. Great advice. Okay, Tommy, where can people find you? We'll put it in the show notes too. But
Yeah. All right. So I have
where
a
do you
website.
want people to find you?
Yeah, right. I live at I don't care. You can come visit me. So savvyseats.com is the website.
Great.
You can get to the event site, which is the tailgating, by just going to the tailgate section on there.
Okay.
Or if you just want to do straight tailgates, it's savvyseatsevents.com.
Right on. Cool.
And then if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Savvy Seats VIP. We put the
Perfect.
VIP in there because we want people to know they're VIP.
I love that. And are your tickets for your geographic region, or are they for?
No, you can go anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world.
Okay.
You want to go anywhere? If there's anything going on, I'll find tickets for you.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first, y'all. Or not first, but you heard it here.
Yeah, you can hear it first. That's okay.
Maybe my followers are hearing it first.
Yeah.
Tommy, it's been a delight. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to The Impatient Entrepreneur. Love the podcast? Be sure to share it with a friend or colleague and give us a 5-star review. You can also chat with us on Instagram or Facebook at The Impatient Entrepreneur Pod. Want to star on a feature episode? Head over to theimpatiententrepreneur.com to inquire. Thank you to the team at Cuidar & Co. for believing in me and bringing this podcast to life. And thank you to Carson Childers for mixing and editing this episode. I can't wait to see you next time.